All right. Hello, 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 and welcome. Just playing around with some sound effect type of things, being funny. Hello, and hello, and welcome, my friends, to me, mom, and dad. This is our 17th podcast for any new listeners joining us. We started this podcast. It'll be a year ago. We'll be celebrating a year anniversary in April. And praise the Lord, it's been so fun. Um, like I said, it's our 17th episode. We started this podcast wanting to share to the Parkinson's community what we have learned, my mom and I, and my dad. My dad is 85 years old. His name is Harold. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's, I believe, in 2014, some years ago. My mom is Gloria. She's 82. And I'm Tia. I'll be 39 for the eighth time. Just kidding. And yes, and it turned out to be a podcast where it's more than just sharing Parkinson's info. It became sharing recipes and faith and hope and just wonderful information that we share. Me, mom, and dad, our daily journeys on these podcasts. And we hope you enjoy it. We're always talking about how to manage my dad's Parkinson's so he can live a fruitful life. We just came back from church and we had a great time. My mom didn't go, just my dad and I. And he walks into church with just his cane and no walker and just really strong today. I did take the little, this is info for my Parkinson's friends. And even if you don't have Parkinson's, if you have other things going on in you or your family's lives with different kind of trials with diseases or things going on, you can relate with our information too. I took this morning and before we went to church, those exercise rubbers and worked my dad's legs. Let him do like 3 rounds of 15 to strengthen his legs. For the Parkinson's community, the miracle is exercise, exercise, exercise. And I've mentioned this before. My mom, and dad go to the gym at least 3 times a week, and the miracle is exercise. He does the stationary bike. There's been a lot of information on how riding the stationary bike and doing those boxing routine programs around the country has been really the way my dad manages to have a fruitful life where he can just walk around pretty good. And so before we went to church, I said, well, let me make sure his legs are strong. And I got the, oh, something fell. Sorry about that. I'm okay. Just something fell behind me. And I strengthened his legs, and we had a great time at church. I also put in my dad's little fruit cups for breakfast. To my Parkinson's listeners, I pretty much put a couple drops of B12 drops, which really gives him a great oomph to start his day. And remember now, protein for my dad, along with his medication. The medication for Parkinson's patients is usually cortidopa levodopa, and we call this cortidopa levodopa, my mom and I call it the yellow pill because it's yellow. So we just say, get dad's yellow pills. And we found out that protein and cortidopa yellow pill don't mix. So we start my dad's day with a fruit or or a drink that is low, 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 low with no hardly no protein. Found out the apples have no protein, and that's been really working well. We were giving him in the beginning maybe a yogurt, and I noticed he would have what we call wobbly legs for a little bit. His body would freeze because, as our neurologist pointed out, the protein kind of just cancels out the medication, and the medication is putting back in his brain what he needs to function and walk with a to walk great and have a fruitful life. So that's great information. We always like to share with you guys. Exercise, exercise. And for my dad, at least, we watch the protein for the breakfast, the first meal of his day. Um, Lunch and dinner seems to be okay. He likes to have Wendy's Frosty sometimes for lunch. He seems to be okay with that at the moment. My dad is again 85 years old, and he does a great job, but he is getting older, and so we try to watch those things. Exercise, 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 my friends, is the key. We oftentimes go walking in the park. He and I will probably do that today or tomorrow. We'll go walking in the park, and he usually will go walking on his own. But he is 85. If he's having a day where he's a bit sleepy, if we get up too early, lately I've been taking the walker with us, um, where you walk in the front, those type of walkers, and he doesn't really need it when we go. The other day we started walking in the park, and he walked on his own with his cane, but I, the daughter that I am, I took the walker just in case his body were to freeze up. I didn't want to be in the middle of the park with no chair or anything. So and he seems to, if he wants to walk further, which he does do often, I don't. I'll sit on the first bench, we call it. Lazy bones me. But if he says, I'm going to keep walking and I'm going to take this little rolling buggy, he calls it, and he feels confident to uh, take the walker with him if he goes further in the park. And I hope we are sharing great information for any Parkinson's friends out there. Exercise, exercise, exercise is the key. And in the morning, I give my dad a multiple vitamin chewy. And again, I put some uh, B12 drops in his little fruit cup. And try to be careful not to boost him up too much because he does have high blood pressure. And I don't want all those things. So it's a fine line to balance, not giving him too much B12s and getting him too wound up to where we raise his blood pressure. So it's a fine line. We monitor the blood pressure. Later on, we will be sharing fried chicken and chicken marsala. So stay tuned for that. We started sharing recipes because since my dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's, more family and friends come around. We started doing that the last, uh, since he was diagnosed in 2014. We made a commitment to more family come around. My brother and the grandkids, my sister and her puppy, and they come to visit us often, and friends as well, so that we don't want depression to ever set in for him or my mom and I as caretakers. So family's always coming around, and when they do come around, we're discovering that cooking. My mom, my sister, and my brother and I are pretty good cooks. My mom has trained us pretty good, And we found out that cooking brings loved ones around the kitchen, and so that's how we started sharing recipes. So every podcast episode we share some wonderful recipes. You can go back to the previous episodes, my friends, and check them out. That brings me to whenever loved ones do come and visit us, uh, I try to interview them and have them talk on the podcast. And this one will be my brother. Now, I did save this. He was here Christmas time. They'll be here spring break, and I'll try to get an interview with them. Oftentimes, I can't interview these folks live because you just got to catch them. And now that we have these smartphone devices, other devices, we can just record them. So this is my brother who visited us Christmas time. My brother's name is George. Check it out, friends. Hello, friends. Once again, I'm here with my wonderful brother. He is here with us. He is here with us Christmas, celebrating Christmas with us, mom and dad and myself. And what you gonna be cooking up? What you gonna be cooking up for us, brother?
I think I'm gonna cook up some. I'm in charge of the vegetables this year. I'm gonna cook up some collard greens and some. I don't know. I think I'm gonna smoke a turkey. And I don't know. I might even do some chicken dumplings, depending on how I feel.
Yeah, you just started this chicken and dumplings.
Yeah, buddy.
And you enjoy doing it?
Oh man.
You gonna do your father some baked beans?
My pop likes baked beans. I hate them, but he loves them.
He loves them. And how do you do your collard greens? I see you smoking up some turkey wings.
Yeah, I put some turkey wings in it, and I let them
marinate
in the water.
Just boil
till the meat falls off the bones, and then I use the meat to season up the greens.
You are a culinary genius.
Yeah, I am. I've won culinary contests, all of them down the East Coast.
Would you say you're a bit arrogant about it, or you just got it like that?
One of my buddies named me, and it stuck. He called me Chef A.
Chef Arrogant.
It's short for Chef Arrogant, yeah.
And you don't care, because if you're good, you're good.
Hey, if you got class, it'll show. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
We went to church today with Mom and Dad, and Dad's walking pretty good, huh?
Yeah, Daddy's walking really good.
And we get together Christmas time and during the holidays, and we just keep bringing the love. That's what keeps us going.
Yep.
And love. Say goodbye to the listeners.
Goodbye to the listeners.
Thanks for listening. That's my brother. See ya. Yes, that's my crazy brother. He's the oldest. We're all pretty humorous. We try to keep a sense of humor. He thinks he's the best cook. My sister thinks she's the best cook. And I think I'm the best cook. And when the three of us get in the kitchen, woo, it's fun. And my brother brings friends of his. My sister-in-law will bring friends of hers. They come drive like 15 hours to visit us. My sister comes, and we just try to always be positive. My dad is a retired reverend, and he taught us to keep the faith whatever we're going through, whatever trials. And we get together and as a family and friends, and just learn how to really keep the faith and keep my dad strong and keep him happy. And when my brother comes, my dad's face just lights up. And that's my crazy brother. The recipes we are sharing: chicken marsala. There's all kind of different recipes. This recipe is what I find is pretty good. What you need is, hope you have your pencils, friends. You need 4 skinless, boneless chicken breasts. Now, it says skinless, but I'll be honest with you. I sometimes like the skin because it puts lots of nice fat. So, but this recipe is for skinless, boneless chicken breasts, about 1.5 pounds. You need all-purpose flour, just for dredging. My friends tell me, Tia, you pretend that we know how to cook, so I better explain dredging. You only need like a cup of flour, 2 cups of flour, let's say, because you're just going to drag the chicken breast. That's what dredging means. You're just going to be dragging the chicken in there. Kosher salt, maybe a teaspoon, freshly ground pepper, a fourth cup of extra virgin olive oil, 8 ounces of mushrooms, any kind of mushrooms you like, cremini, um, uh, porcini, any kind of mushrooms you like, it's fine. Half cup of sweet Marsala wine. Yes, you just go to that liquor store. You need to ask them for Marsala wine, sweet Marsala wine. That's what makes it. It knocks it out of the park, this flavor. You need a half cup of chicken stock, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. I will tell you the truth, I will use salted butter, 2 tablespoons. But this does say unsalted butter. A fourth cup of chopped parsley. So what you're going to do first, my friends, of course, wash your chicken and pat it dry. Okay, you're going to put in a pan. I like to use a cast iron pan, and you will salt and pepper your chicken breasts. Salt and pepper both sides. Pour your olive oil in your pan, in your cast iron pan. Let it get nice and hot. And you're going to take your chicken and dredge. You're going to just drag it through your flour, one side, then drag it through the other side. And it'll be a light coating of flour. That's what dredging means. Most people that cook go, oh, please, you really have to explain that? But a lot of my friends are like, we don't know all these things. So that's what you do, dredge that. Once your pan is hot, that olive oil, you put your chicken breasts in the cast iron pan. Okay? And let it brown on one side. Let them brown. Brown, 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 brown. About 5 minutes. Then turn on other side and let the chicken brown, 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 brown. And I like to stick a little bit of, I want to pat a little bit of that butter in there. It doesn't say do that, but I will put some butter in there. Okay, once your chicken is brown, take a plate and take the chicken out and put your chicken already browned on the plate. Set it aside. Set the chicken aside. Remove the chicken from the platter. Lower your heat a little bit, and now you're going to put your mushrooms in there. And you will add a tablespoon of your butter, and let your mushrooms brown, 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 till they evaporate. The moisture evaporates. Salt with pepper, like a pinch of salt and pepper, your mushrooms. Once they browned and the moisture has evaporated, because mushrooms has a lot of evaporation, pour the Marsala wine in with the mushrooms. And the alcohol is going to cook out a minute or two. Then add your chicken stock. So good, my friends. Reduce your heat a little bit. I know that these steps say I put a little bit of butter, but here you really are going to put a tablespoon of butter in the chicken stock and the Marsala wine. And a little dash of pepper, a little pinch. And then you put your chicken back into this mixture and let it cook down for a minute or two. Not cook down, but just simmer a minute or two, and it's done. And then you will garnish with parsley. Yummy. So good. Delicious. Now for my mom's famous fried chicken. It really is oven fried chicken. Since I was a little girl, we would fry chicken in a cast iron pan. But since I was a little girl, my mom found this recipe, and for years, this is the only way we do fried chicken. It's healthier. We weren't really trying to really be healthy. It just came out so much more crispy, and we've been doing it like this, and people think we've been frying chicken all day long, and we weren't. What you need is 2 tablespoons of butter. Put the put the butter in a baking sheet pan. That's where you're gonna put your chicken. But you're gonna put these pads of butter. Turn your oven on 375. Uh, I'm just thinking. I think my mom does 4. But put it on 375, and let this butter melt. You don't want it to burn. You just want the oven to melt the butter. And so you have a thin layer of butter in a sheet pan that you're going to put your chicken. And once it melts, take the butter out. You're going to do your fried chicken just as if you were do your chicken just as if you were going to fry it on top of the stove. Those of you who cook. So you need flour with salt, pepper. Season your flour. Salt, pepper, paprika, what else? Garlic powder, onion powder into your flour. When we were kids, you'd put all this flour mixture in a bag, shake all these seasonings up, and salt and pepper your chicken. Paprika your chicken. Paprika your chicken, and garlic powder your chicken, onion powder your chicken, and you would take your chicken that you've just seasoned, put it in the flour mixture in a bag. I would say a brown bag as we used. Shake up the chicken in the bag. Chicken parts, maybe 3 or 4 chickens at a time in the bag. And you will place your chicken in this melt on top of this melted butter. Here's the key. Do not let the chicken touch. It will not fry. They need to be spread apart, maybe a half inch apart. Even less than that. Just don't let them touch. They cannot touch chicken parts. Put them in the pan, your wings, your thighs, on top of your melted butter. Okay? But don't let them touch, my friends. Don't let this chicken touch, because they'll stew and not fry. You will put this chicken in the oven. I'm saying 375, but I believe my mom does 400. It's not going to hurt it. It'll just get really nice and crispy. So let's say 400. Put your chicken in, and man, it's going to fry on top of this butter. And with a good hour. Check your chicken after, depending on how hot your oven gets, check your chicken, and you'll see the chicken getting brown. We do turn the chicken over. So, okay, let's go back. Let's say after 40 minutes, check your chicken and turn the chicken over. And they'll get brown like beautiful fried chicken. It's delicious and crunchy. You're welcome. Chicken Marsala and oven fried chicken. My mom's famous oven fried chicken. Please remember to keep the faith and have fun. With my dad's Parkinson's, we try to always keep the hope and faith. Most days he does a great job with going to the gym. There might be a day or two, a day every now and then where he might have a tremor or freeze up. But we just try to stay positive. We keep the faith, and we say we keep praying, and as my dad has taught us to always trust in the Lord that we'll get through things and we'll get over these mountains. And my dad manages to have a fruitful life. And with my mom and I as caretakers, we have to keep the faith too. and keep the joy. Joy, 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 joy. Always joy. And that my dad has taught us to trust in the Lord through all of that. Please remember to subscribe. When you are listening to this podcast, you can go up the top there. You can also, there's a place up there where you can, um, it'll list all the previous episodes, podcast episodes. You can listen to any ones. There's recipes on there and family members chit chatting. And you can also subscribe. That the icon up the top is like the Wi-Fi looking rainbow icon. I believe you click that to subscribe. You can also click the envelope and you can email me if you'd like and chit chat and talk as well. Please subscribe. We will be celebrating our 1 year podcast anniversary. And thank you for listening. There'll be more recipes and more fun. And keep listening. If you subscribe, then whenever I do a new one, it'll pop up that I've just posted. I love my sound effects. I'm going to do it again. Because I'm at the end, that's why I'm clapping. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please remember to subscribe, my friends, and keep the faith. Exercise, exercise, exercise. Even if you don't have Parkinson's, it is the key to having a fruitful life or strongful life. Please enjoy the music. Thanks, my friends, for listening. Peace out, my friends.